I'm gonna mute my. You can check that portal.
Should be muted probably. Oops.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
Oops. Wrong one. What was that?
Oh, pull that down a little bit.
Oh, I'm going there. It's not comfortable out here.
Hello, everyone. We
Morning.
Now I can hear it.
are
Thanks.
getting put together here. There are 22 of us so far. I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes as people gather. There are a few of us here in the church. I think, what, 5? Are there 5 of you guys? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So please make sure you are muted as we begin.
I do that. Mute.
I'm gonna take her out, David. Oh. Oh.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm just checking my email once in a while to see if there's anyone who is having any trouble connecting and needs some help. So my email and messages just in case here. So far, so good.
Sounds good.
How do I get voicemails in?
I need everyone to be muted, please.
Don't.
If you have a
I'm on the phone.
question you need to ask of me, please, in your reactions at the bottom of your screen, please raise your hand. And if you are unable to do that, then just raise your hand quickly and I will try and see it.
Get us in there.
Can you help me get my mail?
Don't unplug it from the wall. I've asked you, don't
Well,
ever, don't unplug it from there. Plug it back in the wall.
I need everyone to mute.
No one. That door back there.
27.
Where do I find mute?
Mute. Why you want to mute?
Do that. If you bring your cursor to your own face, are you on your laptop or desktop?
Okay.
You bring it to your own face, you should see maybe
Own face.
maybe two blue boxes up there.
Yep.
One might say mute. Do you see that?
Yep.
Then just press on that. And that should mute you. There you go, you did it. And then if you want to say something, you do that same procedure in reverse. Find your own face and you can unmute yourself when the time comes. Okay, we have, let's see. I think I'm gonna go ahead. I have 10:53. We have 27 people here. And as people come, I can let them into the room. But I do want to respect all of your time as to having gotten here in time. Hang on a minute. Jane, you're gonna need to mute.
I'm trying.
And I might not be able to test now for,
Okay, I'll get rid of it.
we got feedback.
I'm off.
Okay, can you hear me?
I was, okay. So we have, you're still on there, Jane. Okay, good.
I
Okay,
just can't see you, Reverend Kathy, that's all.
I don't know how to fix that one.
Okay, I'll mute.
So we have 26 people now. And I think we will go ahead. Let us pray. Ever-living God, whose will it is that all should come to you through your Son, Jesus Christ, inspire our witness to him, that we may know the will of his forgiveness and the hope of his resurrection. And God, source of all wisdom and understanding, be present with all of us who take counsel in Trinity Church for the renewal and mission of your church. Teach us in all things to seek first your honor and glory. Guide us to perceive what is right and grant us both the courage to pursue it and the grace to accomplish it. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. So we are recording this meeting. That is already started, and that will be one way for us to have minutes. Is there anyone who would like to take notes from this meeting? I am taking notes, Kevin. Complete notes? Okay. Jane Syme is here and is taking notes, so we can use both the recorded version and the note version and put that, make sure we have a complete record of this meeting. So I do want to review our Zoom procedures. We should always be muted. The way you will be recognized in order to speak is one of two ways. Those of you who have access to your bottom menu, sometimes you just have to take your cursor and bring it all the way down to the bottom of your screen, and you get a pop-up menu that's got a number of things on it. Mine has mute, stop video, it's got participants and chat and all sorts of things. So one of those things is reactions. And in reactions, you can raise your hand. Okay? So that is one way. And I will look and see about that. If I can, I'll keep looking for your raised hand. You might, if you can't do that, then you might just have to do it the old-fashioned way. And I will try my hardest to see that raised hand in the old-fashioned way. The other thing, and so then if you do that, then I will call on you to speak, and then you'll unmute yourself and speak, say what you want to say. I'm going to take my name off of here. You can't see my face because my name is in the middle of it. Let's see here. Hang on a second. I'm going to try something different. That's better. Okay. So yes, if you want to speak, you'll need to raise your hand either physically or in the using that symbol, and I will call on you to speak.
What is she trying to accomplish?
And then let's see what else we need to do. If you have a question, so another thing you can do is just ask a question using the chat feature. You get to that chat feature exactly the same way. It's in that bottom menu line. So bring your cursor down to the bottom, and there's a big dialogue balloon that says chat. And if you click on that chat, then you can post a question to everyone. Okay? If it's a question just to me, then you need to select my name. Okay? So that is how that's how we do being able to see. How come? Hang on, what's wrong? I have to get up. I don't have any power in my computer. So it's gonna turn off. I don't know why I'm plugged in here. all better. Okay, so then another thing we will do is use the Zoom poll for our voting and decision making. And that is incredibly simple. And we're going to do a couple of practice ones. Those of you who are on your mobile device, when the poll comes up, you might then have to, after we do the voting, you'll have to come back to your gallery screen where everybody's face is. And if any of you also, sometimes you will, when you vote, when we have a poll up, your screen with the gallery view of everybody's face goes, it feels like it goes away, but it is still there. You just have to go up to your top menu bar and find it again, click on it again. So those are usually the two complications. And I do ask you to stay muted for those polls. So we're going to do a couple practice polls. That's your practice and my practice. And then we're going to do the roll call. Okay. So the first practice poll, you should see on your screen, and you should be able to vote on that. And I see that, I see 44%, 48%, 51%. Good job. Okay. Getting there. 85% of you have responded. Okay. That leads me to believe that a couple of you, 88, a couple of you might be having a little trouble on that. If you are having trouble with that poll, please indicate by raising a hand. We're at 92%. Let's see, I'm looking to see if anybody's having any trouble. Doesn't seem to be. 92% of you voted on that. Okay. So then I end the poll. And I can share the poll with you. Okay, do you see that? Yeah, there, that 92% participated, and you are almost evenly split as to which, if you'd go backwards or forwards in time. Okay, we're gonna try this one more time. It's also about me having good practice doing this. Okay, now we have another one. This one is, which do you love, books or movies? Which do you love, books or movies? We're at 85%. Let me know if you're having any trouble not making a decision. That's up to you. But let me know if you're having any trouble gaining access to that poll. 92% again. Okay. Okay. I will end the poll and then I share the results. And most of you love books. I could have guessed that one. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to put that away for a few minutes. And we'll come back to that as we vote. So we need a roll call. We need a record of everyone who is here. The way I will do that is that on my gallery screen, I will call your name. Some of you don't have names. You have, if you're at a phone, you might not have a name. And if I can't see you. So if your name isn't up there and you have your video turned off, please turn your video on so I can see you. Okay. If I miss your name, please raise your hand either physically or the little hand raising tool, and I'll make sure we get that taken care of. Julie Westby, Ed Schultz, Tammy Carlson, Annetta Krayefeld. Ralph is in a different screen, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah. Dane and Debbie are in a screen together. Rita Lines, Christopher Smith, Pat Tobin, Jim McDonald, Ralph Krayefeld, Rich Bostwick, Frank and Marty Scott, John McDonald, Ann Wonky, Dave and Mary Thill, John Lippens, Sue and Phil Whitford, and oh, this is Paula. Paula, I see the roof. Mark Carrolls joining us from Hawaii. Lisa Marie, Beth Mullen. I have an iPhone right here. I'm not sure who you are, so pay attention if I didn't say your name. Monty Whitford, Adele, and I assume that's Adele and Warren. Dan Heary. Let's see who else I'm missing. Uh-oh, my screen changed. Joe Bernhardt says Ralph Topinka. I see I have 2 questions, but I'm just gonna make sure that I haven't missed anybody yet. I got all of you guys. Okay, now let's see who's got their hands raised. Oh, I still have my hand raised. Unraise your hand. Yeah. With no volume. Okay, so
Karen,
who had their hand raised?
Karen Whitford.
Is that it? Okay, there's Monty and Karen. Is that Monty and Karen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then I have this iPhone, right? All I see is iPhone. I'm not sure.
That would like, that's me, Rich Bostwick.
But you say Rich Bostwick.
Rich Bostwick.
Yeah, it says that on there, Rich Bostwick. I have one that says iPhone.
I have 2 devices going.
Oh,
so
thank you.
why
That's you then. Okay. We got that straightened out. Thank you, Rich. Okay. Sounds good. So that, nobody has any questions about having called their name? Okay. Good. Good. Okay. We are organized for our meeting. The first thing that we're going to do is share good news stories. And I think this is just really important, that we reflect on how something is still there. We reflect on how we have seen God at work in the life of our church, in the life of our families, and the life of our community, especially at this time when, you know, we're still struggling a little bit as to gathering together and being able to see one another. So the way we'll do this again is you'll either raise your hand or you'll raise your hand in the hand raising dealie. And I will call on you. Might take me a minute to see you though. Are y'all just being shy? Okay, here we go. Ann Wonky, go ahead and unmute.
Can you hear me?
I can.
So two things. One is the Bible study, which has been a huge challenge, but has been so growthful, has been just absolutely wonderful as we have learned about Revelation. And I really appreciate the community, not only around the Bible study, but everybody that's pulled together during this time. And also when people needed help, it's been exciting to see that if there was a need, we could just pull together and help, whether it's just a card or calling or whatever, to reach out to each other. I'm just excited about this year.
Thank you. Julie Westby.
I just want to, I'm very thankful. I want to thank everyone who helped and came to our 2 family fun nights in the fall. It was really great, the first one, to get all the kids back together. And then the second one, we had the s'mores and the singing. And so it was just such a both were great times of fellowship. So I'm very thankful to everyone who came, and especially for those who helped out.
We'll talk a little bit more about that too in this meeting. Are there others? I see Rita's waving at me. Go ahead, Rita.
I'm grateful for the Trinity Knitting Group on Thursday and for the choir.
Thank you. Tammy Carlson.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to work on the vestry, and for the choir, and for all of the wonderful people that have been just so amazing during this challenging time, and excited to see where we're going moving forward.
Thank you. Lisa Marie.
I am very grateful for the support that Rick and I receive from Trinity, whether it's allowing me to be flexible and assist him at home, or when he was in skilled care, through the gift cards, and always all of the prayers. Thank you.
Oh, I think Pat Tobin. Were you waving at me, Pat?
I'm grateful for the Daughters of the King organization that's affiliated with our church. I think the projects we've worked on have been really enjoyable and worthwhile, and I really enjoyed our retreat earlier this year. I just feel that we're very fortunate to have each other.
Thank you. Christopher.
Sorry, you think after this much time I could figure out how to unmute myself? I'm grateful to have been led to Trinity and to feel like I found my forever church here. And I'm grateful for all my fellow music makers and for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're waving at me, give me a minute. Otherwise, I'm looking in the list here. Okay. Anybody behind me want to say anything? Anybody behind me want to say anything? In your address? Okay. 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 Sounds great. I do have just a few people behind me here. I don't know if you can see them over my shoulder. Okay, well, thank you so much for that. I just think it's so important for us to continue to remind ourselves of the good news and of what it is that the work is that we are given to do and how we continue to make that happen. Okay, so let us move on to the actual reports. I get to be first. Again, if you want to ask a question, please put that in the chat if you can, and I will do my very best to pay attention to that. So here we are. Thank you. That's the way we start. Thank you for putting up with another annual meeting by Zoom. I don't think that any of us imagined last year that we would be doing this thing, continuing and doing this annual meeting again this year. None of us imagined that we would continue to be wearing masks wherever we go and making decisions about where we go and what we do, and needing to stay so very careful and safe. But here we are doing all of that. And I am exhausted, just exhausted by it. And I imagine you are too. In my most wishful moments, the world looks like it did not so long ago when we all came to church together, all of the families, all of the kids, all of the grandpas and grandmas, and we sang and we prayed and we ate. But you know, really and truly, that vision is continues to be a fantasy. Even, you know what, I'm thinking back to even in those days, we worried about war. We worried about nuclear destruction. We worried about disease. In those days, yes, some of you might be of the same generation as I. We would hide under our desks, right? Or out in the hall by our lockers, believing that we might survive a nuclear bomb. Today, our children and our grandchildren rehearse their response for a shooter in their schools. It doesn't seem too much different. And we have some mighty big fantasies about our church life as well. We yearn for the days of full pews, when everyone we knew was a Christian and came to church to see everyone else. You know, those days weren't perfect either. There was as much pain and sadness in families then as there is today. Maybe we're just more honest about it today. But we tend to hold on to those ways, the ways that it used to be, the ways that we used to sing, the ways that we used to dress, the ways that we used to, I don't know, but you might be getting my meaning, when our pews were full. But it's just not like that today. And I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think we are coming closer to God's dream for us. You see, we did a lot of excluding in those days. We did a lot of excluding people who were not like us. Some of you may remember the days before women were priests. Yearning for the good old days brings us back to that kind of exclusion. Not too long ago, we excluded people based on who they love, how they love, even who they are. Yearning for the good old days brings us back to that kind of exclusion as well. Not long ago, the Episcopal Church was notorious for its elitism. Yearning for the good old days brings us back to that kind of exclusion as well. God's dream for us, the dream that everyone is welcome, everyone matters. And in the church, we can find healing and wholeness. This dream means that we must be present to God's way of love in this present. We must respond to God's call to love our neighbors and to love our enemies. We must respond to God's call to live in a way that cares for this fragile earth, our island home. This is God's dream. This is God's vision. And our mission is to remain faithful to God's dream and the way of love. And that calls us into some very uncomfortable places sometimes, lots of times in our work and in our worship. Your vestry has committed itself to the work of discerning God's dream for us here at Trinity. In the next year, maybe more, they will begin a process of visioning with the goal of stating a mission that will drive strategic planning, that will bring Trinity Church into its future. They will invite all of you to participate in that discernment. And it will be hard and uncomfortable work. It will be work that is always forward-looking and forward-thinking. It will be work that is exciting. It will be work that invites the Holy Spirit to have its way with us. You will hear more about this in its infancy from Tammy, who has volunteered to chair this effort. During this annual meeting, you will hear about our past, the challenges of working around restrictions in gathering, and you will hear about some dreams for our future. Please listen for the hope, and please listen for the ways that you can participate in making a bright future for Trinity. I am going to yield the floor to our senior warden, Paula DeRubis.
Thank you.
There you are.
There I am. Good morning. I'll probably be a little repetitive. I hope not. Well, here we are. Another year has passed and we are still in the midst of the COVID pandemic. It keeps changing and mutating, and the advice we get from the experts changes as quickly as the virus. I feel we're between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, we desperately want things to be normal again and to be able to gather together with no worries. But on the other hand, we want to err on the side of caution and do all we can to keep our parishioners safe. What a conundrum. As your senior warden during these difficult and certainly unprecedented, and I'm sure you're sick of that word, days, I have found it hard to adequately address the many concerns you have brought to me. The truth is, until we are looking at this pandemic in the rearview mirror, none of us will know if the choices we are making are, if they're right, if they're correct. I think we all know people who have been seriously ill or have died, and the immense toll that it's taken on the healthcare system. We are all weary, and we all just wish it would go away, but it won't. So we must continue to be vigilant. St. Paul says in Romans, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us." Each of us must continue doing what feels safest for us, but we cannot lose hope. We must reach out to those who must stay home and encourage each other continually. During the next few months, we will have numerous opportunities to gather as you feel safe. On February 27th, we are having a retirement party for Bill Bostwick following the 9 a.m. service. On March 1st, Shrove Tuesday, we are planning a pancake supper for our families and friends. It'll be, scaled down a little. And Wednesday nights in Lent, Reverend Kathy has just a magnificent program planned. Soup as usual, Wednesday nights. Listen for more upcoming information. And we hope you will attend as you feel safe. Because of the upheaval COVID has caused, I'm going to remain your senior warden temporarily with your blessing, but I need your help. Talk to me. Talk to Reverend Kathy. Let your needs and concerns be known. Paraphrasing Paul, the signs that characterize the true apostle have been done among us unaccompanied or accompanied by unwearied fortitude. Unwearied fortitude is a tall order. Let us humbly pray for the strength and courage and fortitude to carry on. And I meant to thank some people at the beginning. Thank you for always being there when I need you, when the kitchen needs you, when we need you. You are the most incredibly wonderful group of people I have ever known, and I love you. So thank you for all you do in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Okay, I see Rich is unmuting himself as he is the next to speak. Go ahead.
Thank you, Kat. Yeah, as junior warden, just like what Paula was saying, the past year was tricky to say the least. I won't say unprecedented because she doesn't want me to, but tricky is a better word. 1 year ago today, we were probably winding up our service in the First Lutheran parking lot. That's kind of the way the year began. Although it seems like a long time ago, it really was not. And we had to figure out ways to make that work logistically and everything else. And we did. And things started to improve COVID-wise. And we made the migration into the prayer garden. And that required doing a lot of measuring and marking out pods for people to sit and maintain safe distance. And then in the fall, we gradually started going into opening up the indoors, and that's where we are right now. So we're ready for whatever comes next. I think we've seen the worst and we have plans in place for any scenario, and that is at least small comfort. This past year, besides the COVID, we've been doing routine things. Boilers are always something that keeps us hopping. We did have 2 burst pipes in the last year in Ortmeyer that have been fixed. Had the routine leaks and ice dams that were addressed and so forth. Now I think the outside looks really good, and I really can't take much credit for it, but I will applaud those who worked whether the flower gardens or the pruning or the mowing. And I'll just mention a few names. I'm sure I'll miss somebody. I apologize up front for that, but Marlene and Bill, Sharon Williams, Frank and Marty, and then the mowing team of Bill and Jim Schultz, always having the grounds looking good. Looking ahead to 2022, as I mentioned, we just have to be ready to be nimble and adapt to any situation that occurs health-wise. Beyond that, we have some projects that we'd like to get done. We've tossed around a little bit. Ortmeyer Hall, especially the upper hall, those floors have not been stripped and re-waxed since I have no idea. So anybody that walks in there, it just kind of has a little bit of a dull, dingy appearance. And I don't care if you get down on your hands and knees with a scrub brush and you hit one spot for 10 or 15 minutes, it's not going to look any better. It'll be cleaner maybe, but it won't appear any better. So I think that will make everything just brighter and more inviting. Other things we've been talking about, planting some trees in the terrace, the bell tower at the church. When we rented the lift to do other work, I was up there painting one side of it. I had some quality help from Ryan Lewis, but there's still more to do. The other two sides that are exposed need a lot of work. There's some rot, there's some trim pieces missing, and trying to figure out the best way and the safest way to get that done. We've talked about installing some speakers in the church to enhance the music program that Chris is undertaking. And I think that will happen sooner rather than later. We do have speakers back there now that are on stands, something a little more permanent, so without all the wiring involved, I think would be a good idea. And we're looking into that. On a bigger note here, as Paula mentioned, Bill will be retiring from his cleaning portion of his job at the end of February, so we can focus just on the sexton duties. So what comes next? We're exploring hiring out the cleaning, which I'm coming to find is very costly. We've talked about getting a volunteer system in place, and we're trying to flesh that out too. And I guess this is a work in progress. We'll know more in the weeks ahead. So we do have some challenges and some opportunities in 2022, and hoping to make the best of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. I am looking to see if anyone has a hand raised or something in our chat, and I do not see anything. Give you just another moment in case. Anybody back here? Okay. Okay, then our next person to hear from is our office manager, Lisa Marie.
Good morning, everybody. The office, as you can imagine, is quiet with traffic and calls, but very busy with activities as we continue to navigate the effects of the pandemic, the changes in our worship schedule, and the expansion of our worship schedule from parking lot to garden to in-person, and now with the addition of music. The office is generally staffed 3 days a week. That's Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 8 to 2. We do also work remotely, so we do appreciate those who take a moment and call in advance, and those who also support the remote work that sometimes is done. In the absence of the rector, the office is always available, and that's really 24/7 to take prayer requests or emergencies. And we've received really great response to our new website. We are getting some good traffic on our website, We've been able to reach some people who were interested and have them come into the folds of our congregation. Moving forward, we look forward to the opportunity to expand our ministry, to better serve the community, and to warmly greet all who seek Jesus.
Thank you very much, Lisa Marie. I do want to piggyback on that just a moment, because it's hard, I know, when some of us are coming to church, some of us aren't coming to church. It's hard to know exactly what that whole constellation looks like. And I did want to tell you about some good news, some excitement, and that is we have two young families that have come, and as Paula and I were talking this morning, that definition of attendance is very different than the definition that I once had as a child. And we have two young families that are coming both online and once in a while in person, who have babies. And we will be having a baptism of those babies coming up right around Easter. One will be on Easter, and I'm not quite sure what the other one will be yet. So, you know, in the midst of managing the office and managing the website and managing all of that, there is this, and we have people who are attending online and are quite regular in that. And I think that's really good news as well. So I am going to give the floor to Tammy Carlson, who has agreed to be the vestry's chair for vision and mission. Go ahead, Tammy.
Thank you, Reverend Kathy. So as Reverend Kathy said earlier, we are in the very beginning stages of this process. We're currently researching tools to guide our way on the process and utilize best practice so that we can develop a strong mission and vision, as Reverend Kathy said, to drive our strategic planning. We want to make sure that everyone feels that their voice is heard in this process, because this is all of our church. And this is going to guide us to the after pandemic and beyond. And we just want to make sure that we are putting something together that can be used as alluding to what Reverend Kathy said in her sermon today, a strong safety net for us to be able to build upon as we move forward into the future. We're working with the Diocese of Milwaukee, Father Scott Liana, I think is how he says his name. He's a canon for ministries, and so we are definitely, obviously, utilizing the resources that we have available to us, and we're going to be moving forward on developing how this is going to look. Like I said, there's a lot of information out there, so just kind of gathering that together to figure out how we're going to focus it. And so any feedback or information, if anyone has any past practice utilizing mission and vision and any work that you've done, we would love to have your feedback. You can just contact me through the church. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Tammy. Okay. We're going to move on to worship quickly, and I might ask Sharon Grover, I might ask you to chime in if you wish. But I just want to start with out with live stream challenges and joys. You've heard that just a little bit. That in this whole new world, it's something. As we have been reminded a year ago, we were in the parking lot And then we moved out into the garden, and here we are in our church. And I'll tell you, I learn something new every single day about how this works. I've been going on about, I finally figured out how to automatically record a Zoom meeting so that I don't have to remember to push record each time we have a Zoom meeting. And that's changed everything for me. that I figured out how to do that. We do have a strong congregation that is out there watching our live stream. Those people are made up of our own members who are not yet comfortable coming back into church. And it is made up of very curiously, some people that have never been here to church and watch us online. And that I find quite fascinating. It's every once in a while I see some new names, and that's really something to be able to do that. Our live stream is pretty, I mean, in comparison to everything else, is pretty strong. Every once in a while, we have some technical difficulties, but more often than not, our live stream is working pretty well. I am very thankful for some stalwart technical people who have come forward. Aurora Carlson has been very faithful in being here on Sundays so that she can make sure that the live stream goes well. And John Lippens is her faithful assistant. And he is doing well in that. Any of you who, we could always use more people, so that we make sure that if someone can't be here, someone else can be here. It's one of those ministries that will begin to be just ordinary, just like ushers, just like readers, just like acolytes. We need to have a technology minister so that we can continue it. It's just something we will continue. It's an amazing point of contact in so many different ways. And we have been live streaming morning prayer every morning at 10. And that's really fun to do. It's fun to pray together with a community of people. And once that is sort of finished and up on our Facebook page group and our YouTube channel, anybody can come back to that at any time they want. And so it's really interesting to see the people who join in morning prayer in the afternoon. So that works out incredibly well also. So, that learning curve has been constant, and we have been at it for quite some time. So I'm going to go to Sharon, and then I'm going to go to Christopher. You want to jump in, Sharon?
I don't.
You don't?
Sure, I don't really have anything much to add. I'm one of those who pretty often will be online, and I really appreciate the fact that we have that as something we can do. And it's always fun to see everybody wishing each other good morning. And whoever is sitting close to Aurora is who I get to hear most. So Tammy, I heard you today. It was great. John, sometimes I hear you. And I guess John and Ed Schultz aren't here, but I've heard Ed Schultz a lot too when he's been there and I haven't. So
yeah, they look like they got raptured.
Yeah. Anyway, I really appreciate that. I'm glad that we're able to be back in church. I have sort of mixed feelings about that, which is why mostly I'm online. But I'm glad that for the people who really prefer that, it's also an option. And just please be careful and wear your mask all the time.
Yeah. Everybody over here behind me has got their masks on.
Good. I mean, wearing a mask to me is the greatest of these is love.
Yeah. So, you know, it feels to me like we have, I mean, everything continues to be up in the air. I mean, that's kind of what we've all said. And yet I do believe that we might be able to begin to plan ahead again. And I just really look forward to that worship planning ahead. And that's why I've gotten so excited about Lent, and as looking ahead to what we can do with Lent, as far as faith formation goes and as far as worship goes. So I'm going to hand it over to Christopher now, and he's going to talk a little bit about music.
Okay. I feel like we all kind of wrote the same report separately.
There's only one thing on our mind these days.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so 2021 was a doozy, to say the least. As you might remember, we began the year still in the midst of this deadly pandemic, still worshiping together in the parking lot of First Lutheran Church, still streaming services online and over the radio, with Reverend Kathy, Keith Steinbeck, and I leading hymns from our makeshift altar. Despite this, we did worship fully. We had a meaningful Epiphany and Lent and Easter. And as the year progressed, the public health situation slowly improved, and at the end of May, we were able to return to Trinity for worship with music in our beautiful garden, which continued through the end of the summer. In June, our choir started rehearsing on Thursday nights in preparation for whenever we could return to the sanctuary, which happened in September. Incidentally, we still rehearse on Thursday nights. Well, not recently, but we were going to slowly return to rehearsals on Thursday nights. So anybody who loves to make a joyful noise, we would welcome you to join the choir. And in the months that followed, music returned in full, with the cantor leading the service music, the choir singing an anthem every week, and you, the congregation, singing a variety of hymns, some known, some new, all tied into the lectionary. Then in December, we continued a beloved tradition, our 27th annual Festival of Lessons and Carols. To be fair, there were a lot of changes to the worship experience this year, from new readings to new music to a new format, yet the purpose and meaningfulness behind the service remained constant. The program featured our fabulous choir, supplemented by an additional 30-ish singers from around the community at large. Sylvia O'Connor played the piano and organ. Our very own Reverend Kathy played the flute and presided. Rich Bostwick, Renee Mogensen, Paula DeRubis, Sue Whitford, Sharon Grover, Wendy Mogensen, Angelina Schlegel, Joe Bernhardt, and Nicholas Mullen read the lessons. Ronan Mogensen served as crucifer, and Emily Mogensen and Nicholas Mullen served as our torchbearers. I am so thankful for all the work everybody put in to that event in particular. It was an incredible way to celebrate Advent, and I really am so looking forward to the next one. I can't wait. As I reflect on this past year, my first full year as your director and minister of music, a year full of change and challenges, the music program at Trinity, and we have as a church, have and continue to come through this stronger than ever. I am so thankful and so excited for our future together and the future of Trinity music. Looking ahead, Thelma Wilcox and Martha Moorhart and Alice Flippen will be playing Prelude on the February 20th. We've got some great music planned. Always flexible, but looking forward to having that as well. I'd like to thank all of our regular choir members: Tammy Carlson, Rita Lyons, Ken Regis, Katie Swanson, Ralph Topinka, and Julie Westby. All of our not-so-regular choir members, our wonderful bi-weekly organist Dan Wonky, our various cantors, and everyone else who had a hand or a voice in the music of Trinity. Let's continue to make a joyful noise. Thank you. I love you all.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you. Okay. I am going to move on to faith formation. And I did want to repeat that Anne had pointed out, was it Anne? 2 Daughters of the King? I can't remember now. which one of you did that wonderfully. And that Daughters of the King remains a wonderful faith formation opportunity for anyone who wants to participate in it. There will be coming up a new sort of group of learners, and that is open to everyone. And we would hope that you would all jump at that chance for deepening your faith journey. Because of this whole COVID stuff, we haven't done our after church coffee and faith formation, and I really want to make sure that we can pick that up again when Lent begins. So we will plan on that Sunday after church coffee and then some Lenten faith formation. And Paula alluded to the Wednesday night series that I'm so excited about. It's based on the musical Hamilton, in the room where they are, in the room where you are, in the room where it happens. To prepare for that, we're going to have a Hamilton watch party in the parish hall and have something to eat and eat some popcorn and watch Hamilton on the Friday night before Lent begins. And then that first Wednesday after Ash Wednesday, we will begin that series. So we'll have soup and then have in the room where it happened. So I'm very excited about that adult. I know that's not adult, that is intergenerational. I think that anybody of any age will enjoy that. We have a lot of our young people who love that musical. So I would encourage you to bring your young people with you. It should be great fun. Anne did refer to our Bible study on Friday mornings, which is fabulous. I look forward to it every single week. We have coming to the end of a very challenging time on our study of Revelation. And it's been fabulous and hard. So we're going to turn to something a little less demanding as we move forward. And I think it's going to be on the Psalms, Eugene Peterson's book, A Long Obedience, in the same direction. Reflections on the Psalms. So that is Friday mornings at 9 a.m. And again, I want to reiterate what Julie said about the 2 family fun nights that we were able to have before things kind of got a little dicey again. And that as the weather starts turning and we can maybe plan on having some more outside time, that is something we will continue to do. Did I say Friday? I meant Sunday, if I said Friday. Sunday late afternoon, food and fun and family, in either inside if we have to be, or outside in the garden if the weather permits. I think that that's a way forward for us with children and family faith formation. So that is another thing that I'm excited for us to be able to do. Julie, I'm putting you on the spot, but anything you want to add to any of that? We do kind of wait with bated breath for children on Sunday mornings. And when we see them, we wrangle them and bring them over to Ortmeyer and do storytelling and really wing it, because we need to, it's just hard. But that we are still committed to at least stories on Sunday mornings after church. I'm sorry, Julie, anything? No, okay. Okay. Did I miss any faith formation? Did you think? Okay. I keep turning to Paula back here to help me remember. Thank you for saying that. Paula, so you've heard us talk about John Pavlovich, and his Advent reflection book was called Lo, and he has put together a Lenten reflection book called Rise. And so we would like to make that available to anybody who wants to get a copy of that. It's just, he writes just really wonderful, succinct, seasonal reflections. So we'll be making those available to anybody who wants them as well. Okay. Okay. I just want to, we're going to go to mission and outreach. I have Ann who's going to say a little bit about ECHO and jail chaplaincy. Go for it, Ann.
Okay, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, so my report is online. I'm going to give you just a few important statistics and some exciting news about ECHO. In 2021, we provided 3,380,000 meals. 9,300 nights were provided at motels. 427 homeless outreaches were contacted, and 400 months of rent were provided. Some service highlights: food in and out was up 5%. Lodging, which has become one of our big projects, lodging was up 116%. That is providing rent, lodging, preventing homelessness. The food orders are down because a lot of people were still getting the federal government help. So we don't know how that will look. They're still having the people come in the cars outside, and the volunteers bring the food to them. 1,106 children received non-food related, and that includes the Christmas toys that we talked about and the school supplies. Some exciting new news is that a person from the city of Janesville has given us a grant opportunity for a capital project to up to $1 million to provide more temporary housing. The little housing type things that the city would like to build, and they would build low income housing along with new builds or remodels, and ECHO would provide the clients. You may or may not remember, we do have a house on Fremont Street with a family in it. The city sort of gave it to us and we totally rehabbed it, believe me. And that is being used, and then they're there for up to 3 years. And then they have to have a plan to move on. So that's been fairly successful. And I think the idea of working with the city to provide more of this kind of housing will be really an excellent idea. I won't bore you with all of the grants and numbers, alphabet soup that we have going on, but it's there. Volunteers are needed. Fran Bryan just said that she could use volunteers. I will share with you the kindest thing is the packing of food orders. I used to be able to do it, but my back and the hard cement floor are not so much friends anymore. But there's a lot of ways that you can volunteer. The closest thing upcoming for fun is we're going to be having the Swing into Spring dance. And that will be out near the airport this year at wherever she says. She said Swing into Spring. I'll be getting more information from you on that. The only other short thing I want to mention that I think is kind of important for us to remember on the jail chaplaincy, we were one of the early churches who ecumenically supported this. Iris Gelker was very much aware of being a good ecumenical community person. It's important that we keep that concept going and that we continue to share. This year was tough, I know that. Over 562 kids received gifts this year. Next year, I hope I'll be able to help again and that we can have a really robust collection to help with it so that we can continue sharing our ministry and that we are a part of the Christian community of Rock County. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne, for continuing to be a part of those ministries and continuing to keep us up to date on those ministries. I want to say a couple words about the crop walk, the crop hunger walk that happens every year in the springtime. We have set that date to be the Sunday after Easter. And again, most of the giving for that is online. But I really would love to see some more of us walk in that walk this year. So the Sunday after Easter is the day for that, and you will be hearing more about that. We continue our involvement with Meals on Wheels. We can always use more drivers. So if you are interested in driving in the noon hour to deliver Meals on Wheels, please get a hold of Monty, and it would be great to have some more drivers to do that. And Sharon Grover is going to say a little bit about the Janesville Jolly Jingle.
Hello again, everybody. I am assuming the report is online. I'm sorry I was late. I was one of those who did not get the email, and I was busy searching every nook and cranny in my emails to find it, and then just gave up. Anyway, I just want to take a minute to go back to worship committee and say how much I enjoyed this year's lessons and carols. I enjoy every year's lessons and carols, but Christopher managed to select every single one of my favorite Advent hymns. So thank you very much, Christopher. And as for Janesville's Jolly Jingle, honestly, it's the best committee I've ever served on. And I can now see why Rick was not in any hurry to give it up. Not that anybody else was clamoring to go, but it's a wonderful committee. The members of the committee are just so helpful and kind and generous, and they come from all different kinds of agencies and groups in the city. And last year, I guess 2 years ago now, it was 2020, when we were unable to have any kind of event with them. Reverend Kathy and I were both a little nervous that they would say we couldn't be on the committee any longer. And everybody assured me that that was absolutely not the case. They completely understood and were very nice about it. And this year, they invited the choir to sing at the tree lighting ceremony, which was a lot of fun. And we're invited to come sing again next year. And so that was a good thing. And the one big takeaway from the event on Saturday was that it's not something people come to buy stuff or even to take free stuff home. They just want to come and enjoy some really good food and fellowship. And they loved the music from your dulcimer group, Pat. And it was really wonderful to see children who were working on the crafts singing along with the dulcimer group playing Christmas carols, and not the ones that everybody in the world knows, but some obscure ones. And one of your members and I were saying that it made us feel good to know that those hymns would go on and last. And other than that, you can read the report. The vaccination clinic was great. I loved having an easy time getting boosted. And I'm not sure how many people they had. They kept going. People kept coming in to get their vaccinations well after the one nurse said that they had 33 people. So I would guess somewhere between 40 and 50, but that was a great thing. And if need be, hopefully we can do it again.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you for going to all those meetings. And one of the things that I do want to add to Sharon is that we need your help. We cannot continue to to do this, to participate in Janesville's Jolly Jingle like this without a lot of participation. So that continues to be a bit of a struggle. It's not hard, it's not time consuming, but we do need more hands and more bodies to do that work. Thank you so much for all you do. I would like to move on now to just some recognitions and thank yous. I do want to recognize our outgoing vestry members. They are Yvonne Sanchez, Janet Irvin, and Sharon Grover. And Sharon Grover has been our clerk for a number of years as well. So we will be looking for that, to fill that piece. So just thank you. I see Ed clapping. Thank you so much to those three and their heart. And Yvonne and Sharon, I think, are completing 6 years. So they have been at it for quite some time. So thank you so much to them. I want to say thank you to Paula DeRubis, your senior warden, who shows us what it looks like to follow Jesus. If you ever needed to see what that looks like, all you got to do is look at Paula. And there's lots of clapping going on here. Lots of clapping. And I am indebted to her for staying with us for a little while longer. As we sort of try and make it through a little bit more of this pandemic. Yes, I'm just so thankful for that. So not forever, although I think she feels like it's forever. Oh, Annetta put up a heart. Look at that. There's all sorts of fun stuff you can do. So thank you so much. And I have little gifts for all these people there. I have this wonderful little Episcopal shield key ring. So they'll each be getting one of those. And I'm thankful for Rich Bostwick, who continues to plan for our future as he stays on top of the immediate. And oh my gosh, that has been a challenge this year. Oh, the furnace is off. Oh, there's a leak in Ortmeyer. Oh. So very, very thankful for Rich and staying on top of all of what has to happen. And I do want to just piggyback on what Rich said about the custodial position, that Bill will move into a sexton position. And what that really means is the keeper of the keys. What you all know is that Bill excels at being a host, welcoming people to our facilities, making them feel comfortable and at home here. You're getting lots of applause too, Bill. And Bill will continue in that part of the position. And as Rich says, we're going to have to do a lot of work on figuring out what the custodial piece of this is going to look like. You will see, you have seen, we put a number on that line in the budget. But as we look at that number, we're going to have to do some hard thinking about how that might happen. I want to give thanks to Lisa Marie, who provides a sounding board, who's a great helper and participates in collaborative ministry. That is so important to me, that collaborative part of how we work together. So thank you so much for that. And to Mark Carrolls, our treasurer. Oh my gosh, that's not a small job. And he is backed up in the finance committee by Dan Heary and Frank Scott, Jim Schultz, and Ryan Lewis. And we could use some more people on that finance committee. So please, if you have any interest, you know, it's not all numbers. There's a lot of it that's numbers, but if you have any interest, please come forward, because we sure could use you on that committee. So the thing that I want to move on to is our decision making, and we shouldn't, there's only one spot in here where we may have a hiccup, but I just want us to, because Mark is going to give us our finance report and our budget report after we make our decisions. So I want you to remember last year that we waived the bylaws for a couple of things, and that you said we need to revisit those. We don't want to waive those forever and all time. We want to waive them, and we need to return to that as well. So a few things on here are that very thing. So as we begin, we need to first of all approve the 2021 minutes. So I need one of you to raise your hand to make this motion. I move the acceptance of the 2021 minutes. You can do that by putting your hand up. Okay, Mark has moved that we receive the 2021 minutes, and Lisa Marie has seconded that minutes. Is there any discussion on the 2021 minutes? If you have any discussion, signify by waving at me or raising or putting a hand up. I'm looking to see here. I don't see any hands up anywhere. If I'm missing you, then make sure you yell at me or something here. Okay, so I'm going to put that poll up. It is poll number 3. I am launching that poll. And you will just say yes or no. I approve the 2021 annual meeting minutes. And those of you who have a little ballot, do that as well. And if you say no, let me know. Because right now, we're all yes. Okay. At this point in time, I think everyone who's going to vote has voted, and we have unanimously voted to receive the annual meeting minutes from 2021. Okay. Next is the one that we wanted to revisit from last year. This one is to waive the bylaws for the senior warden and junior warden terms. So the way that is stated is I approve the motion to waive Article 4, Section 3 of the bylaws to enable the senior warden and the junior warden to serve another term. Okay. Is there anyone who wants to move that motion? Tammy Carlson has moved it, and who is the second? Ann Wonky is the second. Okay, you, Sue Whitford, you can move another one. So it's moved by Tammy and seconded by Ann Wonky. Is there any discussion? I'm going to need one of you to be my senior warden coming up sometime in the future. So you can all be thinking about that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put the poll up. Here it is. I approve the motion to waive so that the senior warden and junior warden can serve another term. Okay. I think that's everybody who's going to vote. And you have said yes to waiving the bylaws for that one. Okay. The next one, we have in our bylaws in Article 5, Section 6, it asks us to elect and seat alternate vestry members. And what this is asking is that we waive that bylaw for this year. So is there anyone, Sue Whitford, do you want to move that one? So Sue Whitford is moving that waiving of the seating of alternate vestry members. Is there a second? Sharon Grover has seconded that. So it has been moved by Sue Whitford, seconded by Sharon Grover. And here is your opportunity to say yes or no. Oh, I forgot to ask your if there was any discussion on that. Is there any discussion on that? Sorry, Ed.
Yes.
I look at you, Ed, and think I should have asked for discussion on that. Who said yes, they would?
I did, Ann Wonky.
Okay, Ann?
No, I'm not against, just a quick thing. I think that if we had some alternates, for example, I was pretty sick in November, December, couldn't attend meetings. Maybe people, if they had a chance to come as an alternate, even to visit, would realize vestry is not as scary as everybody thinks it is. Yes, it may be, so
Yeah.
that's my only comment, that I know we're looking for numbers, but I think it would be helpful if people could see that.
Yeah, anybody is welcome to come and observe.
Or like in the case of an emergency with me, that we need,
Yep.
somebody could step in if it had been longer.
Yep.
That's all I had to say.
Thank you, Ann. Okay, I think all who have wanted to vote have voted on that one. So let us end that poll and share that. So you are in agreement that, and I do think it's a good idea. I mean, I would love for the day when we have it happened in the past, maybe it'll happen in the future, where we have so many people clamoring to be on the vestry that we can have alternate members. So working on that day. Okay, stop sharing that one. Next, let's see, that is alternates. Next, we are voting on our vestry. So what we have is Paula DeRubis, who has agreed to run for be seated as senior warden again. And did you have your hand raised?
No, I
again?
just didn't get.
Okay, you
that.
can go up there and unraise your hand.
Oh, thank you, honey. I'll figure.
So what is there anyone who's burning to be senior warden? I do expect one of you to come forward in the future here, in the probably near future. And so we can give Paula a break, but I'm thankful that Paula has agreed to do this carryover time and to get us into the next year. So we will vote on that. Hang on a second. That is number 6. Is there a move to nominate to elect Paula DeRubis as senior warden? Frank Scott has moved it. Julie Westby has seconded that. Okay, Frank Scott has moved it. Julie Westby has seconded that. We will launch it and you can register your approval there. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Here are your results. You're astonishingly elected. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Same thing goes for Rich Bostwick. Is there, oh, Frank wants to say something. Oh, do you want to say something, Frank, or was that your, okay. So, again, if there's anyone burningly wanting to be junior warden, we're going to have to train somebody in on that job coming up sometime. We can't have the same people doing those things forever. So please think about that. Consider those jobs and let us know that you are the one to take that over. So right now, we will, oh, just a minute. 7. Here you go. Oh, did I do a move in second on Rich Bostwick yet? Thank you. Do I have someone who will move Rich Bostwick as junior warden? Mark Carroll's and Rita seconds that one. Pat, you can do it again here soon. So Mark Carroll's move, Rita Line second. Here is your vote. Woohoo, okay. Looking good. Oh, one, oh, okay. Are you asking a question again, Mark, or you just have your hand up still? Okay. Okay, everybody's weighed in on that one, and here you go. Okay, now the next one might be a little trickier. So we have 3 openings for our vestry members. Joe Bernhardt and John Lippens have both prayerfully said yes to an invitation to be 2 of those 3 people. We do need a 3rd person, and any one of you would be wonderful at that job. I also want to say that I am actually quite comfortable with leaving an open seat until that person hears that call and jumps at the opportunity to fill that 3rd seat. So at this moment, if there is a nomination for this 3rd seat, there are 2 things that have to happen. If you nominate yourself, well, that's just great. If you nominate somebody else, that person has to have said yes to being elected to vestry. One of the things that prohibits some is that we don't have married couples being on vestry. We never want vestry to be a means of divorce. So we do not have married couples on vestry. Anybody jumping at this chance? If you don't jump today, you're going to hear from me soon. Okay. Then what we need to do is to vote to close nominations. Do I have a move, someone to move closing nominations? Who did I say? Pat? Tobin, did you want to be the mover, prime mover on that one? And I got a Frank Scott the second on that one. Okay, we are closing nominations for the 2022 vestry at this moment. Okay, there's a couple of you left there. I can see how many have voted. I can't see what your vote is. Okay. Is that everyone? Okay. We will close nominations for vestry at this moment in time. So then I present to you our slate, which is Joe Bernhardt and John Lippens. And we will, since that is our slate and there are no others, we will vote on them as one. Is there anyone who wishes to move the slate of vestry? John Lippens, we got Beth who says yes, and Dane Albright, who is the second mover. Beth, first mover, Dane Albright, second mover. Thank you very much. There is your chance to vote. Okay, I think we are there. Thank you very much. Thank you to Joe Bernhardt and John Lippens, who will fill out an incredibly talented vestry. I do want you all to know one of the reasons that having an empty seat at this moment in time does not worry me is because we have some really talented people who are on our vestry, and I'm confident that our last seat will get filled. It's just going to take somebody a little extra time to say yes to that. Okay. We do have, I just want to say, I'm not going to have elections for diocesan convention because that too is kind of so much up in the air. But it will be held on Friday and Saturday, October 7th and 8th in Madison. And we can negotiate on the overnight. The Friday night is looks to be a fun event, and then business on Saturday. And we need 4 people to be our diocesan delegates. So if you want to be a part of the councils of the Diocese of Milwaukee, please talk to Paula, please talk to me, please talk to one of us, and we will put you on that list of participants in diocesan convention. It's fun. It's fun to, I think it's fun. It's fun to go see everybody. It's fun to know that you're a part of something much bigger. And as a footnote to that, I am one of the Diocese of Milwaukee's deputies to General Convention in July in Baltimore. So that I love that. So it's huge, you know, piles of Episcopalians from all over the place. And we will be doing some important work. We always do important work, but one of the pieces is to look at the slate of candidates for our next presiding bishop. So that will be on this on this time's agenda. I hate to have a new presiding bishop because I love Michael Curry so much, as I know many of you do too. But that one is 3 consecutive terms, and he is coming up onto the end of his 3 consecutive terms. So we'll be looking at a pile of new candidates. Okay, last but not least, Mark is on, and I have a PowerPoint presentation of his. So I'm just gonna, Mark, should I just go ahead and do it? Let's see here. Takes me just a minute here to get to the whole thing. Okay, now I gotta go back here and share the screen and go and do this. That. Oh, I wonder if I remembered to do something. Hang on. I gotta make sure that I have I did it again. Share screen, go here. There it is. And okay. Sorry that took me so long. Mark, when does your voice?
Take a look
There you are.
back at the 2021 financials. Our income and expense to budget was off by quite a bit, in part because we weren't really sure what another year of COVID would bring. We figured we'd probably be back to church, but that didn't happen until later in the year. So we had budgeted a $20,000 deficit, but we ended up with an $8,300 of income, which I guess if you're going to be off, it's probably good to be off in that way. Our income increased by over $18,000 over the budget, and it was due to 6 accounts with the following amounts given. So the birthday contributions had 707. Someone made a stock donation, which we took in with RBC Wealth Management and then liquidated. And that was in the amount of over $6,000. We had church holiday giving, which was all for Christmas. We didn't meet in person during Easter, so but the Christmas giving was good. Our pledges were up over 2020, and the pledges amounted to over 125,000. The non-pledge amount was up substantially. We had budgeted $12,000 for the year, and we ended up with over $20,000. And then we had some pretty significant gifts in memorial amounting to over $5,200. Because we were closed for 9 months out of the year and weren't having services, our administrative accounts and our property management accounts, the expenses were down. But we're still able to make donations of $5,000 each to Echo and HealthNet, which we had budgeted for. All in all, the expenses though were down over $10,000. So these two amounts contributed to having some income in 2021 versus a deficit. It's interesting to compare the financial position of the church at the end of 2021 versus the prior year ending 2020. If we take a look at the checking and savings accounts, we have 5 different checking and savings accounts, all at Johnson Bank. And we have a total at the end of 2021 of $127,859, which increased over $21,000 over 2020. About half of it is in our checking account, our operating checking account. We have over $65,000 in it right now. And we'll probably need a good portion of that to pay for our deficit budget in 2022 as it stands now. Our endowment totals also increased over $18,000 in the year ending 2021. And the stock market was very good. We were able to take quite a bit of money to help support the budget in 2021, and we're going to be able to take almost as much money in 2022 to help us out. Our financial committee has done a very wise thing in giving RBC Wealth Management the account to manage, and we're positioned well with that. The assets continue to grow. So our total equity increased over $26,000 even in a COVID year.
Joe Topinka, Joe Bernhardt, did you have a question you wanted?
No, that was accidental that I had my
okay.
hand raised. Sorry.
No problem. I just didn't want to go right past you if you had a question. Okay. Okay. Mark Carrolls has wants to say something. Why don't you go ahead, Mark?
Yeah, Kathy, on this screen, you'll probably have to click a couple of times to make each line.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure if there were questions, we stopped. Okay, so we're going to go on to the budget.
This is the income side of the 2022 budget as approved by the vestry. The highlighted accounts are ones of special interest. The vestry to be determined first fruits income account is projected at $100 a month. This is income that we get from loose plate offerings and gifts in the form of checks that are written for first fruits, and it is used to defray outreach expenses during the year. The birthday club income is from the birthday envelopes that we all get to memorialize our birthdays. And last year we were way too low on that, so we put in an increased figure for the year. These special church holidays will be meeting at Easter this year in person, and so we've got a figure of a $400 offering there, and our Christmas offering of $2,000 brings that to $2,400. A new income item this year is for music programs, account 5208. Specifically, this is for the Lessons and Carols program. At the end of the year, we're going to look for sponsors to defray some of the expense of putting on that production. Our pledges and non-pledge income this year is projected to be about $139,000, which is a decrease of almost $13,000 over last year. And our endowment income will be less than last year's by about $9,000, although it's still a pretty healthy amount of over $49,000. This is a calculation that's made each year based on the results of the stock market and the endowment that is held at RBC Wealth Management. Our property use income is projected to be more this year. We were approached by a new club that wants to use Ortmeyer Hall on a regular basis for about 9 months out of the year. And we're also expecting to get a Jeff's Foundation and a Woodruff Trust support for the year. So the total income of $206,000, $310, is about $25,000 less income than last year. Most of the expenses in the 2022 budget remain close to what they were for 2021, but there were a couple of changes that were discussed by Reverend Kathy and the vestry and adopted in this new budget. It's especially noteworthy to take a look at the music programs line. It was expanded to include 3 different lines, and a budget of $1,250 was put on Lessons and Carols overall. Honorariums of $375 will be used to pay for singers or musicians, and general supplies has a line item of $1,000, which will cover any music supplies which are used for Lessons and Carols or for church services. So it has music programs has a total expense budgeted of $2625, And if you'll remember, we budgeted $2,000 of income, so it covers a good part of this expected expense. The other item that was really discussed at length by the vestry was what to do about keeping our property clean and in good shape. And it was decided to employ a custodial service. Junior Warden Rich Bostwick has been working on getting some quotes, and I'm not sure if they're accurately reflected in this budget yet. It may have to be updated, but what was decided was that there would be a 10% increase in the combined budget for custodial services and the sexton over last year, when we had a budget of just over $10,500, I think it was, for Bill's wages. So the custodial services is going to take about half of that, and Billy's wages will be reduced. He'll have less responsibilities, but still will be around to perform the traditional sexton duties. Reverend Kathy will very likely explain more what went into this thinking on this. Finally, I'm happy to report that the diocesan assessment has remained the same as last year. It's almost $30,000 a year. And that Trinity is finally able to pay Reverend Kathy what the diocese recommends for a rector with her years of experience. This total number does include $1,000 towards supply clergy when she isn't here. So the bottom line on the 2022 budget is that we will have a deficit of $30,650. Hopefully we can have the same experience this year that we had last year and reduce this. But if we can't, we do have the money in our liquid assets to cover it. I would say though that with the stock market projections for the year don't look to be as rosy as they were the last couple of years. So in years coming, we may find it more difficult to come close to covering our deficits if we continue to run big deficits. Thank you for staying awake during this presentation. I hope I haven't confused or bored too many people, and I will see you in March when I get back. I'll now turn it over to Reverend Kathy. Thanks.
Okay. There I am. I'm unmuted. Thank you so much, Mark, for doing all that work. Thank you so much to the Finance Committee for doing work, and thank you so much for the vestry for doing. We had a lot of hard work to do in trying to also, you know, try and get as close as we possibly can to what we have, and yet also dreaming about doing some new things as well. Is there questions about the financial report, end of year financial report, and going ahead financial report? I did want to say that the vestry the vestry reviewed the budget on January 11th and then approved the budget on January 27th. On January 27th. So that was the process. Okay, so we got a big thank you from Frank for all that work to you, Mark. Thank you. You all know this, but it's worth saying again that that is a lot of hard work and a lot of sleepless nights. And the number one priority is being responsible for the money you give. And I know there are things that we want to do that are not represented in this budget. And the way we can do that is by, figuring out what our revenue streams look like. I have already begun to lose sleep over the 2023 budget in regards to what our endowment investments might look like. It's not worth losing sleep over right now, but it is worth really working hard at coming up with alternative revenue streams. We either all got to give more or we got to figure out other ways. Now, the other ways we are working on. That's good. That's part of our vision and mission work. And we have had a conversation about what might be possible in our parish hall. And we have another conversation coming up about how we can offer that to the community and what that might look like. But it's not going to solve our financial issues going ahead. So if you see things you want funded, we need to raise those monies in order to fund them. I do, Christopher and I have talked long and hard about the funding Lessons and Carols as a standalone, and we are committed to that. So that's something that will be new for this year. And as we showcase our own choir for Lessons and Carols and invite community members in to sing as well, we're hoping to see an even bigger response to that event. Anything more? This recording will be saved as our one of the ways that this meeting is on the record, and we'll transcribe what needs transcription and file that with the written reports that have been received. So there will be a record of this meeting. It's such a funny thing in these Zoom days to have a record. Is there anything else for the good of the cause? I thought we'd be done before now, so there you go. Moved as fast as we could. Anything else for the good of the cause? I will be seeing the new vestry in February, and I'm just excited for us to move forward on that. We have one last poll. And we will do that as soon as we pray our way out of this meeting. So let us pray. Lord God, we give you thanks for your life among us and in us and through us. We give you thanks, Lord God, that you trust us with the work that you have given us to do. And we thank you, Lord God, that we are privileged to be bearers of your word and work into the world. We ask your blessings upon us as we move forward. And we ask your blessings upon all of us as we work to be able to fund your mission in the world through Trinity Episcopal Church. And we pray these things, Lord, in the name of your Son, our Savior, Jesus. Amen. I need a motion for adjournment. Ed's motioning and Dave Phil is seconding. Oh, that's not what I want there. Just a second here. Okay, motion for adjournment has been made, and here is your vote to adjourn. Yes, I'd like to adjourn, or no, I'd really like to continue this meeting. Those are your choices. Who said that, Ed? Ha! No, I'd really like to continue this meeting. They have the option. No, I'd really like to continue this meeting. He voted for that. Okay, I think we are all there. Anybody else got an opinion on that? Okay. Well, guys, annual meetings are not fun and games. And yet at the same time, I give thanks that you all made it all the way through. Not all of us did, I see. So thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much for making it all the way through. And thank you so much for your participation in the life and mission of Trinity Church. And thank you so much for all of the gifts that you give. They are all valued and appreciated. Okay. I don't think any one of you wants to continue on this meeting. So I am going to let us go. Bye. Have a great day.